Scenario 3. The first good practice for the scenario is health screening. This is good practices. Before the test happened, on every participant, they did a health screening test on each of them, which is good for them as they got all their health and found out all their health, if they had anything wrong with them in their health, and then if they didn't. The next one being volunteers. This is good as all the participants that participated were all volunteers, as when they sent out for the gymnasts to come back 3 weeks later, they gave them the option whether they wanted to come back or not. So then they were coming at their own free will and didn't feel uncomfortable in this situation. As well as a health screening test, they also got the participants to do a subject disclaimer once they knew what they were fully participating in, which is good practice for them. And finally, the researcher responsibilities is the final good practice, as they did this well, so the researcher knew all the responsibilities that he had to do during the test, before the test and after the test, with like a health screening subject disclaimer as examples for this. And this is good as it makes the test go swifter and easier, and also it makes sure that the researcher is doing their job and the participants aren't at any risk at all. However, in this scenario, there were also poor practices, one being debriefing, as they did not debrief the participants at the end of the test and just let them go at the end of the test whenever they wanted to, which could cause side effects afterwards. Another one would be test sequences. They didn't keep a sequence of what you would do in testing like the one we did, as there would normally be a warm-up and a cool-down, so a warm-up before the test being done and a cool-down afterwards to stop any harm being done to the muscles or any injury, and then the final poor practice would be scientific misconduct, as this is where someone has got the health screening test that they used, but got it from the internet, so it may not have been the right kind of health screening test that they needed for the certain test that they were doing. And it's also scientific misconduct if they use something from another website without permission. So the corrections for this, for the debriefing, it would be to just debrief the participants at the end of the test and maybe see how they are a week later and check up on them and so forth, just to stop any harm being caused. And then for test sequence would just be to involve a warm-up and a cool-down before and after the test. And then finally with scientific misconduct is to just create their own health screening test so it's specific to the tests that they're doing. The consequences to the participant from this could be psychological harm, as they may not understand why the test was happening, as they weren't debriefed, and they may have felt like it was pointless, or they may have felt like they were under pressure to do certain things, or if they didn't do it right, and it could just left them in a bit of state of confusion. And another one could be physical harms. They could get injured as they didn't during the test, that they didn't do a warm up, or after the test, that they did not do a cool down afterwards, which could lead to further physical harm. And then the only consequence to the research could be ethical training, as to learn the sequence of the test and the research and what is needed to be involved and when and how they do it.